Philadelphia's like, no!
I'm just hoping Diana's husband is listening to this.
He definitely is. He is on the train on the way home, and he's going to text me in 2 seconds, why would you bump Shield?
Uncle Shield, as he's referred to.
Seriously,
in
my
Diana's
house, Shield can do no wrong.
My house as well.
Before we get to the Eagles,
Hi.
we got to ask you about Marissa.
Yes.
I mean, what a superstar.
She was a star with you guys, and I had heard about her. And, well, first of all, Marissa was my intern. Like,
Yes, I was originally with Diana. She was
years ago.
Yeah.
And I was so consumed with just doing the job every day because I was such a stinky sports anchor at the time. But I just remember this young intern was so aggressive and fun and passionate about sports. And I remember thinking she's going to be amazing one day. And then she became part of the show and, was I guess like a character. And so now she's my producer on Scoop City. And it's been awesome. And it's so obvious she learned so much from you guys and uses so much of that and applies it to the show. And that mixed with all the things that she and I have in common as being moms. It's
Jersey mom.
Jersey mom. That is the one thing we've discovered. There is a language we speak that no one else speaks. And I actually say sometimes the strength and even the weakness to our working relationship is it feels sisterly at times. And you know how you talk to your siblings in a way that if people heard you,
Sure.
you'd go, oh my God, you guys are very aggressive to me. I yell at her, but then it's like 2 seconds later, she'll like text me. She's like, so what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like we make up so quickly.
I told
No
them
grudge.
earlier I was chasing a toddler around here,
Oh, yeah,
and that was you. So
It's unbelievable. She manages me so well. She knows my weaknesses and accepts them. So I'm so lucky to have her.
Fantastic.
it was very hard to replace you guys, and there's no replacing.
I mean,
the
we're basically
BWF
doing
family.
the show on YouTube because you put us on YouTube.
That
But
is true.
Getting
You were
to
a
work
visionary.
Getting to work with Diana every day has made this so fun, and we talk about you guys all the time.
We
The
do.
Eagles are a big thing in her house, obviously.
No
so,
choice.
Yeah, I feel like it's one joined family at this point.
Okay, we will give you the quick hitting Eagles questions,
Sure.
just the quick news ones. Kellen Moore to the Saints, kind of like a done deal, probably.
Yeah.
How do you think the Eagles replace him?
Yeah, you should feel pretty good
Yeah.
about that. I think they're just going to go in-house. I think they're just going to wind up making a promotion within because you look at who's out there, and they're just not.
This is the problem they had 2 years ago.
I know.
Right?
It's this issue you have when you do so well and you win. And obviously we don't want to talk about what that Eagles season was like after they lost their coordinators because it's not great. Especially, I just thought they did such a good job this past offseason. Excuse me, Howie did such a great job this past offseason finding two good coordinators that could work with Sirianni so well and bring some of that maturity even. And obviously I'm talking about Fangio when I talk about that to help really elevate what they're doing there. So unfortunately, but fortunately, we'll see if they'll be able to use somebody that's already there.
I'm curious, you were the first person that really sat down with Saquon to really get his side of the story. A great interview before the season. Did he or could you foresee what has happened during the past few months?
I had no idea.
What a scoop that was,
So
though.
what stood out to me in that, which, by the way, lesson in life, sometimes you just got to try. I was like, there's no way he's going to return my message. He writes right back. He's like, you want to come over? I'll do it on Saturday. I'm like, what? Okay.
And shout out to Diana because it was July, and the schedule's crazy, and she finally had some family time. Could have been down the shore.
Yeah.
And she booked it to his house with a crew and was ready to interview him.
It's Saquon. You don't say no to Saquon. And he's so welcoming and kind. And look, I covered him in New York so much, but and he's been the same person from day one. But a couple takeaways from just sitting in his home where he's comfortable and his girlfriend and his children were there. I think the whole situation weighed on him a lot. It was a heavier ending to his New York chapter than I think people even understood. He didn't in the interview reveal that he was hurt or broken from it. But just being around him physically, I could tell this was going to be tough for him to let go. And he used so much of that to fuel him into the season that we're seeing. And so when you ask me, am I surprised? I'm surprised it's this good, but it makes all the sense in the world looking back at that time with him where he reminded me of one of my friends who just went through like a bad breakup and now really leveled up though. And
that's what's so human about it, right? And
It's a good
Vinny
analogy.
Curry made this point to us the other day that maybe the Myles Garrett thing is a little bit Saquon related because you see this guy who has never been anywhere else and doesn't know sort of. It's like they can't get out of this toxic relationship, right? And they've just been squandered and squandered and squandered, and then they get to the place where they're supposed to be, and he's his full version of himself. And it's like, what a gift to NFL fans, because if he doesn't leave there, we never see this version of Saquon Barkley.
And I think he knew that, though. And as much as he knew it, he still couldn't leave.
Yeah.
He still didn't want to, right? And so he said that it was a much shorter period of time than what what Hard Knocks showed. Like, it felt very dramatic on the show, but he said it wasn't like that at all. He's like, it was one call with Joe, and it was over. And then the Bears and the Texans were in. I remember chasing that story when it was going down, and there were a lot of back-channeling conversations happening. And I thought the Texans were going to pull it off. That's the team. And do you remember that scene where Joe said the Eagles are out? I don't know who texted him that, but I can tell you that I was texting people in New York, the Eagles are in. And I knew that they were in. So either way, that wasn't me trying to be like, haha, but it's just like.
No, you should, yeah.
It is my favorite
You're leaving me envious, but yeah, you should.
Cringe/painful moment this season. It originally started off watching those clips of Joe Shane saying that to John Mara as kind of like I laughed. I was like, ha, 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 like, look at Saquon now. Then it was, ooh, I kind of feel bad for him. Now it's just torture.
I mean, I was asking guys last night, who's your Joe Shane? Like, who's the person who didn't believe in you and you, like, proved them wrong?
What a great question. Who is your
Joe Shane? That's who he is
Shane?
now. Like,
that is
crazy.
so good.
Johnny Wilson had a very specific answer.
Yes, his fourth grade teacher.
You know what, too? Something I underestimated when Saquon was in New York. I didn't realize that he was best friends with Daniel Jones. I knew they were close. I didn't know they were that close. And we were talking off camera about it. And we played this fun game called Is this quarterback better than Daniel Jones? Because I was trying to make him make a case to me because I had lost confidence in Daniel at that point.
Tanner McKee, yes.
And so we went through, and man, Saquon's answers were wild. He believes in his boy, put it that way. Well. But to see him just have all the success, and he, in the interview, he even said it. He's like, I look around, I see Devonta, I see AJ, he's going through the whole roster, and Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson. He's like, I've never been on a talented team like this. So he was aware of it, and all he had to do was what Saquon does.
My last question for you is a thing that we have talked about with Howie Roseman, and I think you can probably contextualize this better than anybody else. We have talked about, like, one of Howie's superpowers and the things that he cares about a lot is being, like, at the nexus of the information, the NFL insider information ecosystem, and making sure that he thinks that he knows everything that's going on. Without getting into specific conversations, how can you speak to, like, how obsessed he is with that?
Howie should host Scoop City.
That's a great answer.
She should be my co-host. See you later, Chase. I think
I would love if that were the case, by the way.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Howie's a collector of intel.
Yes.
He is not a giver of intel. He likes to hear what everyone's talking about and what's going on around the league, but it's tough to squeeze out intel from him. Even if you feel like he's telling you something, you're like, yeah, but he's not saying. Like, when I see him on the sidelines and I catch up with him, I'm like, yep, I got nothing out of that one. But he's obviously someone who knows what he's doing and has proved that after this season. I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about it at every single level of just truly what an incredible year he had.
Absolutely.
Putting together a championship roster, which, look, when we were giving Nick Sirianni so much heat on our show, I kept saying to the world, they believe they have a championship roster. Like, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman looked at this team and was like, we need to win. This is the team that's going to win the Super Bowl. And look, here we are.
That's right.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Is Nick Sirianni a good coach?
We'll go back and forth on
My
this.
answer is that Nick Sirianni is a good coach for this team. I don't think that he would be the perfect coach for all 32 NFL teams, but for this team where the roster is Super Bowl caliber and the job is making sure that they are ready to play every single week, he is good at that.
I think you need to suspend your belief of what someone's supposed to be like and accept them for who they are. Nick Sirianni, over 4 years, has made 2 Super Bowls, 3 double-digit win seasons, 4 playoff appearances. Like, that resume, that blind resume test would blow anyone else out. But because it looks and sounds differently than maybe Philadelphia's idea of a head coach or the prototypical idea of a head coach, I was talking to Shield during the summer, and Shield's like, what's he good at? And I said, well, people like him. Like people, his players in particular go to bat for him. They respond to him, and I think there's something to that. So it looks different than it did with Andy Reid. It looks different than it does with Bill Belichick. But if it gets you to the Super Bowl 2 out of 4 years and the playoffs 4 out of 4 years and double-digit wins 3 out of 4 years, there's a lot of coaches who are considered better who would kill to have that resume.
Yeah. Listening to you talk just reminded me that at lunch today, I was at this restaurant called Butcher, and it's fantastic. And I ran into some Eagles employees who it was pretty cool to see that they got out a little.
Yeah.
And so I sat at their table to just catch up with some of them that I knew. And I said, gosh, your market is so hard, just the media down there. I'm like.
They must have loved hearing that, too.
So they're like, yeah, we know. I was like, man, I said this. I swear you're going to kill me. I said, you got Zach Berman tweeting out the smallest of details in the world, just eats it up. He's telling you what kind of pajamas the Eagles are wearing the night before the Super Bowl. And everyone's like, yes, more, tell us. And you know what they said?
Yeah.
You're using Zach Berman as an example, but he's actually the best one.
Oh, I appreciate
so
that.
I was
Thank you.
taking a shot at my friend, thinking just to connect with them, and then they came back at me. So I think that speaks to how great you are at your job. That guys here that they're reading and watching everything you do, and they like you.
That didn't make my day. The scary thing, and Bo could probably tell you this, is that I probably am interested in the kind of pajamas that they wear, because that'd be a great detail in a story. So,
well, you are amazing at details.
Thank you.
I obviously follow and listen to you guys all the time.
He's also going to want to know who you were at lunch with, but he'll save that for later.
No,
I'll let you know.
yeah.
I'll tell you off camera.
All right, Diana, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
This was about Marissa's return.
Yes.
Well, we're keeping Marissa.
Trust
This
me,
is
yeah.
great. They asked me to
Marissa.
steal you for 10 minutes, so
I'm
not
in.
only
I did my
did I
10 minutes.
return, but I got you.
The true stars back, Shield. Guys,
We'll
thank
bring
you so
Shield back.
much.
Thank you.
My household loves you guys, and I do too, so thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Text you in 10 minutes.
Yeah, can't wait.
And we will
Get
be
another
back
fight.
in just a minute on the other side of this break.